Hello everyone, welcome back to the one more session of Management Information System. Today we will discuss with a new interesting topic, that is e-business technology. This is a new module which constitutes of the introduction to e-business, the various modules of e-business, that is the business to business, business to customer, customer to business, customer to customer. We also will be going through the internet and the concepts of www, that is World Wide Web. We see the difference between the intranet and the extranet, the various security issues and aspects with respect to the e-business will be discussed in this module. We go through the one of the important concept, that is the electronic payment system. We also see the impact of web on the strategic management, because we have already discussed the importance of strategic management in the module 2. And we finally will be going with the enterprise, that is the CMS, that is the content management system. So before starting this module, we need to know what is a business. Because if we know what is business, then we will be able to associate the word E with a business. A business is defined as an organization or an enterprise or an entity engaged in commercial, industrial or professional activities. So any of the bodies which has been involved with the commercial, industrial or professional activities, then that kind of activity is said to be a business. Or in other term, it can be defined as, also business is referred as the organization's effort and activities of individual to produce and sell the goods and service for the profit making, and that is said to be the business. So when we know what is business, the main intention of business is the commerce. So we'll see what do you mean by the commerce. What does the word commerce mean? Commerce constitutes the exchange of products and services between the business. Means if there are two kinds of business, business A and business B, the exchange of products and the service between those two business is said to be a commerce. Okay, it might be between the businesses, or it might be a exchange of information, exchange of services, or a products might be between two or more businesses or a groups or an individual, and it can also be seen as an essential activity of any business. So any business is mainly concentrated with the commerce, means exchange of products or sometimes even with the services. So when we know about the business and we know about the commerce, now let us look into the core part, that is e-business. So in order to know what is e-business, we have gone through the business, the concept of business and also the concept of commerce. We'll see what is e-commerce. Online business or e-business is a kind of business or a commercial transaction that includes sharing of information across the internet. Now I hope this is clear. Now the main concentration here, all these activities, the business and the commerce that is done, or the sharing of information is done online over the internet, is said to be the e-business. Now when we talk about the e-business, the general term encompasses all the forms of using the digital information and communication technology to support the optimized business process. Means here, in order to achieve the optimal business activity or a process, we make use of digital information and the communication technology available to make best utilization. In contrast, e-commerce describes only about the online trading of products and services. So many of the time people get confused between the e-business and e-commerce. When we talk about the e-business, the whole circle is said to be an e-business, whereas a particular part is said to be e-commerce. See, both are different. So what is e-commerce? So e-commerce describes only Okay, online trading of products and services means e-commerce is also a part of e-business. So you should not make a confusion that e-commerce is a separate entity and e-business is a separate entity. E-commerce can be considered as part and parcel of an e-business. This is about the things. Next, when we talk about the origin, when we talk about the origin of e-business, the word e-business became popular following an IBM advertising campaign. Means this was mainly introduced by IBM company. So when did they use the word e-business? In one of the advertisement campaign, they used this word about computerized procedures to automate the business process. When was it done? It was done on 7th October 1997. The first word e-business was totally announced by IBM by producing an advertisement campaign. So during the 7th October 1997. So the IT and the consulting firm published an 8-page essay about this, okay, in a Wall Street journal. So there's a journal called Wall Street in which they published and used the term to describe how corporate system would fundamentally change the digital era. So the main intention was not only to produce it or use it, they also intended to make it more popular in the corporate world. At the IBM understood e-business very beautifully, and they also were able to assess what would be the future of e-business. So they describe it as redesigning strategic business process and meeting the challenges of new market increasingly characterized by globalization and based on new knowledge. They said this is the future of e-business. That's how from the 7th October 1997 the word or the term e-business became so popular, and people never looked into it as a different entity. They started adopting the concept, and e-business became very popular. And continuing, let us look into the various components of e-business. What are the various components? So the core component of e-business is three. First one is information, second one communication, and transaction. First is information, second is the communication, and the third one is transaction. Means any of the e-business would satisfy these three criteria: the information, the communication, and transaction. When you talk about the business partners use digital networks, that is, it might be a public or a private communication network, to conduct the business process using the innovative technologies to improve the efficiency. So when we talk about the innovative technology to improve the efficiency, we have three areas mainly to support the e-business. What are those areas? When you talk about the areas of the e-business, where the company looks, it might be a private or it might be public. So the three major areas every company looks into is, first one is e-procurement. What do you mean by e-procurement? That is the electronic sourcing of products and services by companies focused on reducing cost and effort. Means procurement, taking up online, so thereby reducing the cost and also the efficiency, and the effort in procurement would be very less using this area of e-business. So the first area the mainly company focuses on is the e-procurement. The second one is the online stores. When we talk about the online stores, it is the sale of products and services via appropriate platforms. The one best example that can be considered as the many of the things we have, like online stores of Reliance and online stores of many other things. So this is also one kind of such kind of things where online there will be a stores where we can buy it. So the Flipkart, the Amazon are already the predominant companies with respect to the online stores. We look into it and the buying and the procurement becomes so easy. This is about the online. The next one is the online marketing. Or we can call it as online marketplace itself. It is via digital network connecting the buyers and suppliers with respect to products and services, like the OLX, where we have different sellers, different buyers, where they connect with one another with respect to the services, buying and selling and all these activities. So these are the three main areas which are mainly focused by any of the companies with respect to the e-business activities. And when we proceed our discussion, there are two further areas with respect to e-business. One is online communities. What is that online communities? When you talk about online communities, it is electronic communication networks between the individuals and an organization, or it might be communication between the individuals to individuals, or it might be a communications between the organization to a different organization. And the second one is the online companies, the electronic business corporation for connecting individual company services. There are many companies now where they render their services online itself, rather than contacting a person by personally or getting the service done in hand. They take up the work very professional way in online and get the work done at the ease without the much intervention of human. So this is about the online, the two activities, online communication and online services. Then when we proceed our discussion, we need to look into the one more concept, that is market participants. When we know that what are the components, what is e-business and everything, we need to know who exactly participates in e-business. That is the market participants. Because e-business, it's a market, it's a platform. Now who participates here? That is market participants. Of e-business. When we talk about market participants of e-business, e-business can take place between a large number of market participants, whereas when you talk about the conventional thing, there is a limitation between the participants, whereas here we don't have that limitation. That problem has been overcome. Now this large participants can happen between the business and the consumers, between various private individuals and the public administration, and also between the various other organizations like NGOs and so on. Generally speaking, these various market participants can be divided into three distinct categories. What are those? First one is the business itself. The first category is a business itself, because the best participant for a business is one more business organization, which might be asking for services, which might be providing the raw products, or which might be a buyer of that, and later it might be transform the product into different. So first participant we can consider to any of the e-business marketplace is a one more business. Second one is a consumer, or the customer. Here it is represented B, it is represented C. So what is my consumer or a customer or a citizen? So those are the individuals who wish to have the service or a product through online. That is said to be the second participant. And third one is a administrator, which is termed as A. where and one more participant will be there where who or a rule set of rules or a governing body which governs all these activities so that everything happens as per the rules and regulations and the norms. So these are the three main participants when we talk about any of the e-business market. First is the business itself and with the other businesses, and second one is the consumers or the customers, and the third one is administrator or administrative things. So these are said to be three. All these three categories play a major role either as a buyer or a servicer or a provider with respect to the market, meaning there is a 9 possible combinations of every e-business relationship. You might have seen at the beginning of this session I said the modules or the models with respect to e-business, B2B, B2C, B2A, yes. So these are the three main participants. When we have three main participants, we can have the combination of, that is 3 cross 3, that is 9 sets of combinations are available. So with these patterns we can have the 9 best models of e-business relationship with goals like business to customer, customer to business, customer to customer, business to business, administration to customer, customer to administration, business to administration, and administration to customer, so on. Like that we can have 9 sets of combination. Then when we talk about the functions of e-business, what is the main intention of having, or what does the main functionalities that is associated with the e-business? So we write it as functions. When we talk about the functions, the most important role of e-business is electronic value creation. This is very important. Mainly any of the business, especially I quote it like this in a double quotes, any of the e-business, the main intention is to create a value need, that is generation of electronic added value to it. The forms of electronic added value are usually distinguished in following ways. So how do they add values? The first one is structuring value. I write it here. Structuring value. So what is this structuring value? It is an overview of large quantity of information. Means online offers the structuring value. When you say about structuring value, online business or a e-business offers an overview of large quantity of information, because it is very difficult for an individual to have complete information at a glance, whereas this online will help us to have a huge information or overall information of all the products at a glimpse. This is the one important functionality. Second one is the selection value. So online business offers or provides specific database information upon the request, whereas in a conventional way it is very difficult to get. I don't say we are not able to get, but it is very difficult to get information of a particular things, whereas here we are able to post queries through a particular database and the information is retrieved from the database, so we get the exact information or we can get the particular information about the selected component. That is called as selection value. Third one, matching value. When we talk about the matching value, online offers makes it very much possible to merge enquiries from supplier and the buyers more effectively. It matches the similar kind of thing where the supplier is ready to supply and the buyer is ready to purchase what kind of product. It matches both the things from both the end and provides a very detailed information. So it adds a value over here. The fourth one is the transaction value. So when we talk about the transaction value, it makes the business more efficient, because a main intention of any business is to have a transaction. Means always we need to have a process going on. So online offers to have a continuous, whereas in a conventional, due to lot of lacuna, there might be no transaction due to calamities, that these various factors. Whereas online, there is no limitation unless and until the governing body stops it. So we can have the transaction happening continuously. That is adding one more dimensional value. Fifth one is coordination value. When we talk about the coordination value, online allows different providers to effectively combine their services. You might be knowing now in online, you can purchase the product from one vendor and ask the service from others, or you can purchase a product from one, additional supplements can be bought from other vendors. This is called a coordination value. Every production from various production houses or the business will be able to merge their products with one another with a due coordination. And the sixth one is the communication value. When we talk about the communication value, online offers or improves the communication between different consumers. They feel ease. They would be very friendly to ask the question, because asking most of the products or particular items personally it becomes very difficult. In online, it becomes very easy because they are directly interacting with the end users, so and with the service provider or manufacturers directly. So those products are mainly concentrated. So these are the 6 kinds of values or functions that any of the e-business supports. Depending on which type of value a company decides to have in future, they can choose one or more value activities, or sometimes if a person or your company is mainly looking for the transaction value, they can adopt this kind of functionality. Or if a company is mainly concentrating on communication value, they can implement this communication value. Or in general, I would say most of the companies would look for all these 6 functional values. They can easily adopt it. So when we talk about digital information product, can also be created, offered as an added value with the customer, they can pay for it. This is the importance of various functions. And when we talk about the electronic value creation, it involves some of the steps. What are these steps? First one is collecting large quantity of information. So when we talk about the electronic value creation with these 6 values, it is not so easy to implement or adopt it. It involves lot of steps. So what are those steps? The first one is creating or collecting large quantity of information, because if you have small amount of quantity of information, or if you don't have a detailed information, then the main intention of e-business technology would not suffice. So you need to collect large quantity of information to identify the data relevant to the product. Means when you go to a particular shop, if you ask a pen, they would hardly provide 1 or 2 or 10 maximum, a 10 variety of pen. Whereas when you look at online, with the same budget, you are able to find 100 variety of pens. This is what the quality and the quantity of information gathering. And moreover, the second step involves processing the information and transforming it into a product. You know that large information is being collected over the web and it is not sufficient. It needs to be transformed into a transactional achievable product. This is important. Now you might seem that many information is collected. Keeping that information just at your end would not make any activities. Transform that information into a process of action. That is the second stage. Third stage, transferring the final information product, means we need to have that information to the customer, because the customer is the actual end user who makes use of the e-business technology. Make that things, transfer the data, that is the product or whatever that is been available to the end user, that is the customer. So after doing this, finally fourth step, repeat all the process. Means from 1 to 3 repeat it again, because this is a continuous activity, it is not a one time activity. So I'll repeat it again. In order to achieve all these 6 values, you need to have follow this 4 main steps. First one, collecting large quantity of information. Second one, processing of information is required. Third one, transferring the final information as a product to the customer is important. And finally, fourth one, repeat all the 3 steps above. So this makes the very important aspects of e-business. So while before the things, I would like to summarize it. So in this session, we had discussed various aspects. One, what business in a simple definition. We have understood the definition of a business itself. We have seen what is a commerce. We have seen what do you mean by e-business. And we have also seen the difference between the e-business and the e-commerce. And we have seen how did the word or the concept of e-business got into existence from IBM from 7th October 1997, and we have seen the various components of e-business, that is electronic business, and we have seen the areas of e-business, the important market participant, that is BCA of e-business, the functions are a electronic business, various functions that are associated, we have seen it, and also finally we have discussed the electronic value creation processes with respect to e-business. These are the contents I had wished to discuss in this session. Thank you very much.